there, my TCLN fam. How are you doing? Now, let's talk about destiny swapping, right? As you know, I cover what you call the news. I take news out of mainstream media and I use them as opportunities to so that we can educate ourselves, right? But today I'm gonna do something a little different. I want to talk about destiny swapping because obviously I don't think people understand what it means to swap a destiny. So, number one, let's start off with swapping, right? When someone, listen to me closely. When someone swaps a destiny, and what started this is that I saw a young lady up there on TikTok or one of the things, and she was talking about how people forgot who they was, that you really can't swap a destiny, this and this and this and that. Now, let me explain something to you when it comes to destiny swapping. What we're going to do is we're going to break down destiny and then we're going to break down swapping. Now, I know you may say, hold on, IBK, la, la. Okay, listen, I know it may sound mediocre, but sometimes we think we know what things mean and we don't really process them, right? So, in order for you to swap something, you have to take something from someone else and give them something, right? It's called swapping, right? You swap. Now, in this sense, swapping specifically means that someone takes something from you and they give you something in exchange. That's swapping. Number two, destiny, in this sense that one is talking about, is basically talking about the overall thing that you are designed to be, do, and have in this world. Do you understand? In other words, there will be things that you will seek as a person that has nothing to do with like spiritual things. It's just things of the desires of your heart, right? And you seek those things. They're not necessarily your destiny. They can lead up to your destiny or be a part of your destiny, but they're not necessarily what we call a destiny. Now, a destiny is something that you are born for. In other words, when all of these entities in the world that you look at, that we call humans and we call people, they are born with a destiny on their life. Some people come into the world with a bad destiny on their lives, and some people come with a good destiny on their lives, right? But nonetheless, it's a destiny, right? And pay attention to something. So when someone swaps something, in order for you to swap something, you don't just take it. You give something in exchange. You're swapping something. So let's talk about destiny swapping. And I want you to listen to me very, very closely so that you can understand what destiny swapping is and its many different forms that it come in. Because just like you have 101 Dalmatians, you also have 101 ways plus more that you can swap things from people. And let me give you an example. Let's talk about the garden for those who believe in biblical things and believe in allegorical things. So a lot of people get things mixed up, right? They take the Bible, they make the Bible mean what they want it to mean, except they don't look at the Bible for what it actually says. People do it all the time. They do it with tithes, they do it with offering, they do it with reaping, sowing. They do it if they mad at you, they'll find some scripture in the Bible to use against you, even though God may not even be done said that against you. Like people do this stuff all the time, right? So let's start with the garden though. When the Bible talks about the serpent, you must understand that when mankind would write about uh, what you call humanity or what you call people, they would use animals to describe certain characteristics. So do you understand that? So when you look at the serpent, what did the serpent do? So number one, Adam was given an instruction, right? And when Adam was given that instruction, you notice that the serpent did not go to Adam. The serpent went to Eve. Now you know that. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. You've been taught that. So when the serpent went to Eve, what did he do to her? What did he do? Remember, the garden represented everything good. They were told you are given everything good in the garden. Do not go over there and touch the tree and eat of the tree of good and evil. Why were they told that? Now we understand this to be knowledge. So you have to understand, guys, when people write in text, they're writing allegorical, they're writing symbolically, they're writing in what's called comparalisms or what they call parallelisms. You understand, comparing animals to humans, characteristics and all that kind of stuff, right? So when you get over there, the serpent, and for a lot of people who taught the Bible wrong, they kept teaching that Adam and Eve was the first. Adam and Eve was not the first. There has been many replicas of what we call human and people. The reason why I know this is because you look at the Noah's Ark, you look at Adam and Eve, you also look at when Cain killed Abel, you understand? When Cain was about to be what do you call it, punished by God or whatever, he said, if you send me out there, I'm gonna be like a vagabond, and them people are basically going to kill him. Now, the first question you would have to ask is, where did those people come from if Adam and Eve was the first? Because they surely did not bore them, they bore Cain and Abel. So that lets you know that people existed. So, why was Adam and Eve created? They were a new creation, again, a new cycle, because those people had done so much evil. They were so corrupt, like Noah's Ark, all of that. That's why it was told, do not go and eat of the tree of good and evil. Good and evil represents a mixture of sorcery and witchcraft. Remember, you have good wisdom, you have good knowledge, and then when you start mixing it with divination and lies and deception, it becomes what? Perverted knowledge. That's why they were told and instructed, don't do that. The day you do that, you shall surely die. We know that it's not a physical death, we know it's more on a spiritual level, right? In other words, they will be separated from everything that is good. Now, pay attention. So, in this lifetime, what we call destiny swapping, once the serpent got Eve to turn away from the good instruction and she took heed to what that serpent had to say, which was a deceiver, basically one that, and I want to point something out to you too. I'm gonna finish this narrative of thought, but I want to point something out to you. He basically, she took on something. So when she took on the nature of what he fed her. So he fed her twisted information. She took that nature on. She turned around and took that same thing and she fed that to Adam to eat, right? So we understand this to be knowledge and understanding. These things are still going on right now today. Nothing has changed. People are still doing this stuff today. Now, I want to show you something how, in terms, different terms, people write. Remember Little Red Riding Hood? So remember the wolf. Remember the mother instructed Little Red Riding Hood because the grandmother fell sick. So she became weak. So the mother instructed Little Red Riding Hood, look, I made this basket for your grandmother. I need for you to stay on the path. Do not go into the woods. Go straight to take this basket and to get back home. It was an allegorical teaching, right? A symbolic teaching. So the wolf knew that in order to deceive Little Red Riding Hood, he had to dress up as what? As something familiar to her. These things are still happening today, guys. These things are representations of what people do in this earth to do what they call destiny swap, or to steal, I'm sorry, or to steal, kill, and destroy. Do you understand that? So when the wolf ran upon the path of Little Red Riding Hood, he had on grandma's dress and her bonnet, right? Now, Little Red Riding Hood had discernment. Pay attention. Even Eve had discernment. She said, God did not say that. God said such and such and such and such. The serpent said, I know. And then turned around and said something else, right? Which twisted things, right? Now, I want you to pay attention between these two different characteristics, right? So the wolf dressed up as grandmother. How he deceived Little Red Riding Hood, he said, listen, Little Red Riding Hood said something off. Oh, what big ears you have, Grandma. He was like, I know, but let me explain why. So he kept deceiving her, right? And then she goes, oh no, what big eyes, what big ears? And he goes, I know, and kept deceiving her, right? So he got her so familiar and so comfortable that she really believed that that was grandma. So the wolf has the characteristic of coming into your life, pretending to be something that's familiar with you, something known to you, so that it can rob you. And what was the wolf trying to rob her of? Eat up her whole entire life, eat up her family. In other words, consume you, get rid of you. Now let's go back to the serpent. What was the serpent doing? The serpent never dressed up and pretended to be anything. That's not what the serpent done. That was not the serpent. So the serpent didn't say, I'm gonna pretend to be a rabbit and then I'm gonna come and get you, or I'm gonna pretend to be this. And no, the serpent stayed the serpent. As a matter of fact, Eve knew that it was the serpent. You understand what I'm saying? So the serpent did not deceive in that way. The serpent used sorcery. So the serpent used sorcery. So the serpent came over there into the garden, but wasn't even supposed to be in that garden. Done walked itself over there into the garden. Done slipped over there into everything good. And the serpent says, I know that I can't have the fullness of this thing. I can't have the glory that they have. I can't have the wholeness that they have. But what I can get from them, because remember, they are wicked people over there. What I can get from them is that I can take away from them the things that are of them. You understand what I'm saying? So not only did they have everything good and wholeness and peace, everything else that was created for them in that garden, things that they could build through the mind, things that they can go on in this earth. You see humans doing it every day. Humans can build, humans can create, humans can produce, humans can have dominion. And when I say humans, y'all know I'm trying to remove that vocabulary word, but we've been so brainwashed to say it. you know that word means a derogatory term in and of itself, but people can do all these things, right? They're given everything good. So even though the serpent cannot have the glory, what the serpent can do is pretend fake halos. That's where you see all these halos come from, these fake drawings, fake halos, but there's no halo at all, right? So but anyway, they can't have the glory that comes with the higher levels of estates. But what they can do is they can swap out the things that are supposed to manifest in the physical, which usually are the things you use for monetary gain. Do you understand that? So you have to understand different levels of things, right? So when you look at destiny swapping in our what we call modern day term, which nothing is really modern. All things repeat themselves. Nothing is really. Only thing they've made more advanced is technology, and even back then they had advanced technology, just in their own way. So when you look at destiny swapping, the reason why people don't understand what destiny swapping is because they don't understand the many different levels that it's done on and the many different ways that it's done. And if you don't understand, if you thinking that somebody is going into a closet saying, abracadabra, I got your destiny now. I do a peekaboo, I see you, and now I got the destiny, you're wrong. That's not how it happens, right? So, number one, it happens in many different ways. It could come in the form like the wolf dressing up, pretending to be something that's familiar to you and is designed to kill and steal and destroy from you. Remember, Little Red Riding Hood would have been destroyed and her family eaten up. Remember that, right? Because this wolf pretended to be something that it was not. If you look at the serpent never pretended. So a lot of people think of the snake wiggling and all this sort kind of stuff. No, the serpent does not dress up to be anything. It is the serpent. The serpent is wise. That's why it's associated with wisdom. The serpent is wise, but it's a evil kind of wisdom. It's the kind of wisdom where it knows so much knowledge, but it knows how to use that knowledge to its advantage so that it can have power over you. Remember, mankind is not commanded to have power and dominion over another human being. Now, you do know that. That's the instruction. But they wanted power and dominion over other human beings. So they understand how to use this wisdom and use it to their advantage. Do you understand what I'm saying? Which becomes sorcery because you're not supposed to control and manipulate other people. So now let's stick to this destiny thing. People can steal your destiny by simply telling you something. And if you have a lack of knowledge, do you find it funny that the scriptures say that my people perish for a lack of knowledge, but that the wicked is wise? I want you to think about that. I want you to chew on that a little bit. My people perish for a lack of knowledge, And then in another passage of scripture, it says that the wicked is wise. So you must understand that you have dumb, wicked people, but you also have smart, wicked people. Just like you have dumb, good people and you have smart, good people. And what I mean by dumb, I'm not talking about derogatory, I mean a lack of knowledge. So there are people who are wicked, but they so ignorant that they don't even understand how to capitalize off of their wickedness. And then there are those who are so wicked that they're wise and they know exactly what to do with that knowledge, but they're perverted and they use it in a wicked way. You understand? So it could be as simple as somebody sitting up looking at something about you. Now, how many times you hear about this on the internet, right? People say it all day long. Half of them don't even know what they're talking about. They just copying what other people are saying because they've heard people of wisdom say it. So then they copy it and they incorporate it, right? So it could be something as simple as a person knowing what your vision is. There are certain people that know how to divine to understand what your destiny is, but they are very aware that you don't know who you are. So, say for instance, you're made to be an inventor and you have inventions in you. They know how to divine and get information to where they understand that that's who you are, but you have no idea who you are. The game plan is to keep you ignorant to that. That's a form of destiny swapping. That is a form of stealing. Remember, to swap without someone's permission or to take without someone's permission, you understand? Do you understand that? Is a form of theft. So, what is the swap? The swap in this case is that they keep ignorance upon you and make sure they keep wisdom upon themselves. But they use the wisdom, you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand? To their advantage. So they understand that you are designed to be an inventor. They want you to stay as ignorant as possible. And if you notice, there are so many times in your life where they tried to kill you off. Car wrecks, all kind of things that you can think of that we know are not accidents. We understand that, right? You've heard people talking about, you gonna die in the car trying to speak a car wreck over you, or you gonna die suicide trying to speak cursings upon you, right? So we know that these are not accidents. So that could be a form of it. It could be something as simple as someone telling you that something doesn't belong to you and you're not smart enough. Have you ever heard those people that when you're trying to achieve something, they be like, you're not even smart enough to do that? And if you believe them, they impose ignorance upon them. You started out, you was happy. You wasn't even thinking about how bad you was. You started out, you was happy. And we all know the more you do something, the better you get at it. You understand what I'm saying? You have to develop and cultivate yourself, right? But they stole it from you and imposed ignorance upon you, and they swapped out something from you. And then they go take that same idea and they go make it their own. So there are so many ways that people can do this. And because you're not paying attention, you would say, oh, nobody could steal your destiny. Baby, people go to their graveyards every day, not fulfilling the thing that they were designed to fulfill. This is reality, right? This is real. Let me give you another example. I was in California one time, Norwalk, California. I'm gonna give you my own personal example. And I was standing in line, and there was an African woman in line. I had a homeless bag, but I was filing my DBA. I was determined that I was gonna do something with my life. All I could afford was a DBA at the time. I could not afford a LLC. I could afford to just file the name. I've since then filed my corporation, filed my stuff, so I know what I'm doing. You know, understand? I've studied, I've put into practice, but during that time, I only did what I knew to do. You understand that? So I'm in California, Norwalk, California, where the business office is, and there are plenty of people in line. And sometimes these people get so vicious, they don't even care about busting out their skin and revealing people. Like I said, the serpent is not necessarily trying to cover up. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the wolf that's trying to cover. The wolf has to befriend you and be familiar with you. And that could be anything. That could be a pastor trying to steal your destiny, pretending that God sent them and they're trying to steal something from you in the spiritual realm. It could be anything. Everybody wants you to think that everything is about a Satan. They're lying to you. If I can point everything in that direction, you will never see everybody else who's doing it too. They're lying to you. Okay. I'm not even finna sugarcoat it. You can go back and forth and argue all you want to. They lying to you. Because number one, the serpent was never referred to in the Bible as Satan. Now, when you go to the end of the book, it talks about Satan, the old dragon, all of that. But remember, there are many different references in the Bible concerning many different snakes, right? So pay attention now because you have different levels of snakes. Do you understand that? But this particular serpent that is referring to is not referring to Satan. This is referring to people that understand how to steal everything good from you and killing off your destiny by twisting information, by misusing information. And this is what the serpent did in the garden. You understand that? So I was standing in the line, right? And there was this African woman. There are other people there. And so this African woman reaches over to me. She said, I want to say thank you to you. And I was like, because I didn't know her, right? And I was like, well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what? And she said, because you are taking the initiative that to do something with your life, no matter what your situation is. You're doing something with yourself. And I want to say thank you. And I said, well, thank you. And she was a businesswoman. Her company or the company she works for or whatever she does, you can tell that she's kind of, doing well or whatever, was to help other companies, right? So that's why she was there. So it was two guys that were standing behind us, two males. They were dressed in exquisite suits. They shoes probably cost more than your house. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. I'm exaggerating. But let's be real. Some of this stuff they buy, you be like, boo, I could have paid my whole student loan off with that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, these men were very exquisite. And so they bust out right behind us both. And they said they are so stupid. They said they work hard. We work smart. We just take their SHIT. That's exactly what they said, guys. And I turned around. Now, by this time, now I'm born and raised in Dallas. I come out of South Dallas projects. I was also raised in middle class, and I've got to be around an abundance of certain types of rich people. So I've got the experience of various life, right? But baby, every bit of Watts, Compton, South Dallas, South Shock, South Side, Chicago, and everything else wanted to come up out of me. I could have took that man and punched him dead in his throat and laid him out and laid that sucker out. The only thing, because y'all know me, y'all know my mouth, you know how I am. I do not play. I would have been like, you cross-eyed for you. Like, I do not play. The only thing that kept me still and respectful is that this woman was of a high destiny. You know how you can tell people's destinies? I can tell that her estate was high. It wasn't just her being a fake. How many people walk up to your life and they try to fake that they concerned and care about you and they really don't? And you can feel that energy and you know that energy. This woman was totally different. And so I chose in that little millisecond to not be disrespectful to her. And since she never responded to them and never even thought of them, I just turned around and did the same thing she did. But in the back of my mind, I was like, "Fo, you better be glad. Because I'll mess around and pull a patch of hair out your daggone head. Because, like, that is very evil for people to do stuff like that. It wasn't even about me because I understand how people judge you with a bag. It was that they could attack a woman of high caliber that has done nothing to them. My anger was more about that than it was about me, because people, baby, will judge you behind anything all day long and all at the same time be trying to steal from you while they trying to make you look like you ain't got nothing and be trying to steal all your ideas. You know how they operate. So understand what destiny swapping is. It goes all the way to family members. Your family members, if not careful, can see a destiny over your life and try to swap it out. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna give you an example because a lot of times we don't look at it in real time. So I'm gonna give you an example of this girl I knew from my hometown. I knew her for years, and she's always struggled with drugs. Very pretty girl, dark skinned girl, pretty girl, just this, nicely built girl.